Welcome to the first episode of Smart Collector Lane. Today's episode will be talking about regret buys. Now, I'm sure most of us, if not all of us, has had an experience where we buy something and right away, before we even get home, we regret. I'm sure it's a very humbling feeling, and of course, the more expensive the item, the more regret that sinks in. So items that I used to buy that I probably had a lot more regret on were designer bags that were very popular maybe for a season or two, very trendy, and then in a couple years later, nobody would remember them. And I have since sold all of those bags. I don't own anymore, so I don't really have an example to share with you, but I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So the approach that I've changed to or evolved into is before I buy any expensive designer bag or luxury jewelry piece or shoes or home appliance, I tend to go through some simple questions that I ask myself to test out if I really want this item and if it's worth the splurge. So I'm in a place in my life where I'm very fortunate. I have everything that I would ever want and need, and now everything is kind of like gravy on top. So this is where I've become more of a collector and being very thoughtful and mindful in adding pieces to my collection. So without further ado, let's go into the questions that I ask myself. The first one being, and this is more specific for like a piece of clothing or jewelry or an item that you wear. So the question that I ask myself is, if I buy this item, am I willing to drop every other thing in my closet to wear it nonstop right now? So for example, if it is a bag, am I willing to let all the other bags that I own sit in the closet and just wear this bag? And how long will I wear it for nonstop, right? And I think for me, that goes to show how much I really want it and enjoy using it. If I only see myself using it for a couple weeks and my trip comes up in a month and I'm not gonna wear it for my trip, I don't think it's useful to buy it because one, I'm not putting it to use in action right away, and that tends to mean that it's gonna end up in my closet, shoved in a corner, and it's never gonna see the light of day. So that's my first question, which is, am I willing to drop everything in my closet to wear that one item nonstop for at least months, maybe a year? And if I can't do that, then I don't think it's worth buying because it's just a spur of the moment feeling. Cool. The second question that I usually ask myself is cost per wear. So how often do I use this item? If I were to pick something, for example, let's say high heels, how often do I wear high heels? I work from home, I go to the gym. How often do I actually wear high heels in, let's say, a month or a week or even a year, right? If the cost per use doesn't make sense, then I don't think you should buy it. Now, this was a different scenario when I was traveling a lot for work, and I would wear the same heels every couple of weeks, to a trip, and I would wear them for 10, 12 hours a day, and I would wear them for several days on end. In that scenario, I was very willing to splurge and invest on my heels because I really wanted them to look good. I was gonna beat them down because I took them took them traveling all the time, and I wore them for so many hours, for night and day. And I definitely think it was worth every penny on all those shoes that I've spent over the years. But now that my lifestyle has changed a little bit more, I definitely think being a lot more mindful on the amount of heels that I own, and also when I see heels that I really like, should I buy them, right? So that's number 2. Number 3 is, when is the brand name worth it? I think this is a great question because in today's world, I feel like everything is about brand name. We've gotten a little bit better about logos and everything, being splattered everywhere, but definitely brand name still comes up, right? People want the Stanley Cup. People want the Breville coffee machine. I think there are a lot of brands that make good products regardless of their brand name, how popular they are in normal day society. For example, almost a couple years ago, every creator online had the Breville espresso machine. And I promise you not, probably half of the people on the internet didn't know how to use the machine based on like the ground size and like how much actual espresso you need to put in the puck. I think people just bought the machine because they saw other people buying it. And I almost fell in that bandwagon because I was looking for an espresso machine. I did not end up buying the Breville. I ended up buying the Delani, which is also a very reputable brand. So I think brands in a way matter in quality, not only in popularity. Don't buy a brand because you know nothing about it. Buy a brand because they have history, they back up their products, they have warranties, they're known for their quality and craftsmanship. Like in those scenarios, I think brand matters, right? Because certain products will last longer because they have X number of years of excellent craftsmanship. So it really depends. I think don't buy a brand because it's popular, buy a brand because it's reputable. Reputable, I think, trumps all, because as much as you are one consumer that has an opinion towards a product that is known and like known to be a very valuable product. For example, the Le Creuset Dutch ovens. Everybody knows about them. Everybody has seen them. I'm sure they are very aware of the presence that they have in the market, and they are not going to sacrifice on quality because they know that people know them for their Dutch oven, right? So like they won't shortcut their Dutch ovens because they know like that's what their brand is kind of based on. So in certain scenarios, I think brand matters. Just don't buy it because it's popular on the internet. Okay. The last question is, when does the cheaper option win? I think this is kind of interesting to kind of dive into, because I feel like people, when you say, oh, the cheaper option, they automatically think of something of lesser quality. I don't think that's always true. For example, if I go to the beach in the summer a lot, and every summer I like rip through some sandals because I take them on the beach, I wear them into the water, I put sand, like the sand gets in them and everything, and they just get corroded in a year, I might not want to buy really expensive sandals because I know like I'm gonna run through them, I'm gonna burn through them, they're gonna get abused, right? They're gonna get wet, they're gonna dry in the sun, sand is gonna corrode them. In that scenario, I would just buy like, Target, Walmart sandals that might just be cute and simple. I feel like a lot of those brands make very cute items that you don't sacrifice on style, but it's a lot more affordable. You're not heartbroken when you have to get rid of them in a couple months or in a season or a year or so, versus like if I were to buy really expensive, like couple $100 sandals, I would feel really bad like wearing them on the beach because I feel like they're getting mistreated. So in a certain situations, I think cheaper options do make more sense. Even though you might be getting rid of them quicker, you are using them and you're using them to their full life, right? And for someone that does rotate through certain items quickly, like I rotate through leggings very quickly. I work in a gym, I'm a trainer, we're all constantly on the mats, like doing different exercises and everything. My leggings probably last like half the life of a normal person. So in those situations, maybe I don't really need every pair to be like a Lululemon pair of leggings, and maybe I can like, change it up every now and then, try out Gap and Old Navy and all those brands because they still make good products. I mean, I just run through them so quickly that it's okay not to always have the nicest item in the bunch. So those were the 4 questions that I tend to ask myself whenever I buy new items, whether small or big. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you guys come back for more content similar to this, and also let me know what your biggest regret buy was or is, and we can talk about it in the comments. And also stay tuned for more content from this channel. This is Smart Collector Lane. Thanks so much.